Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Camilla, I'm a future trainee solicitor, and in this video I'm going to be telling you the 6 things that I did to make sure that I got a distinction in the first year of my LPC. And I'm going to be telling you everything that I did, from what to do throughout the year to how to revise for the exams. The first thing that I did was such a time saver, and that is purchasing legacy notes from eBay. Legacy notes are notes that other people have written, and you can purchase notes which are distinction standard. That means that someone else has used the notes and got a distinction. That's a great place to start. You could write out the notes yourself, but I really did not see the point in doing that when you can save so much time and just buy a pack of notes for literally about £3 or £4 from eBay. The second thing that you need to do is do all of the reading that's set for you in the week. But as I've said in previous videos, don't labour too much over every single word. What you should be doing is reading the book and checking the legacy notes to make sure that everything is accurate, because sometimes the syllabus can either change or laws can change slightly. So it's always best to make sure that your notes are accurate by reading the textbook at the same time as you read the legacy notes. The third thing that you should be doing is tabbing your textbooks as you go. These are the tabs that I'm talking about, and just basically all you need to do is tab each topic in your textbook. This will enable you to navigate around your textbook very quickly in the exam, which is a very important thing to be able to do because of how time pressured the exam is. That being said, you shouldn't be relying solely on the textbook during your exams. You'll have your notes, which should hopefully cover everything. But on the off chance that something comes up that you haven't prepared for, then the textbook has everything you need. If you've tabbed your book throughout the year, then you don't need to spend time at the end when you're revising, or when you should be revising, tabbing your book. The fourth thing that you must make sure you do every single week to enable you to put yourself in a good position to get a distinction is doing the prep tasks. Each week you will be set a prep task or two which you need to answer using the textbook and various other learning materials. Make sure you have a go at them, but don't worry too much if you don't finish them or struggle with them. I personally actually found the prep tasks quite difficult sometimes. It's not the end of the world because you will get given the answers in the workshop. The prep tasks and the workshop tasks are the best indication of what's going to come up in the exam. So it's always good to get as much practice as possible doing those tasks, so that when it comes around to revision, you've already had a go at most of the tasks. So I would definitely advise doing that to put yourself in a good position. The fifth thing you need to do, which sounds a little bit obvious, but it's go to your classes. You have to go to the class anyway. So, I mean, you're probably thinking, why are you even including this? But it's just one of those. I can't really make this video without saying it. I personally didn't get that much value from the workshops, not because there's anything wrong with the teachers. I just found that the pace was quite fast, especially with online classes. We were put in and out of different breakout rooms all the time, and I just found it a little bit all over the place. So I didn't find it the best learning environment. If you're doing the online LPC, then I actually wouldn't worry about it, because even when I went into the classroom, I sometimes came out of classes thinking, huh? And I was pretty much clueless when I came out of the class. But don't worry, because that's where consolidation comes in, which is number 6. So the 6th thing that you need to be doing is consolidating. Now, when I first started the LPC, I was like, what is consolidation? I don't understand what we're supposed to be doing. They don't really tell you what to do as consolidation, but I found the best way of consolidating, in my opinion, and I'm going to share that with you. So the best way of consolidating is going to the recorded workshops, which are on Elite, which is the platform for all of the learning materials at ULaw. And on there you can find recorded workshops, which is perfect because pretty much all you need to know for the exam is in the workshop. As I said earlier in the video, the best indication of what's going to come up in the exam is the workshop and the prep tasks, and they're all very clearly explained in the pre-recorded workshop, and it's more lecture style. So what I would do for consolidation is to watch that, make my notes from that lecture style workshop, and then I would file them into my folder. One thing that I think is very important to do throughout the year is to make sure that your folder is exam ready any time of year. So if it was tomorrow and you've got an exam, you would be ready for that exam because you've got all of your notes in a row, and that's the ideal position to be in. So if you can consolidate every week and get your notes all sorted out, then you'll be in such a good position when it comes to revision. And we're going to talk about revision next. So I don't know about other schools, but at ULaw we only get given around 2 weeks, two or 3 weeks for revision, and especially if you've got multiple exams, that might feel like a bit daunting, but don't worry. I had a 3-point revision program that I followed, and it enabled me to get grades such as 88%, 81% and 84% in my exams. The first step was to go through all the recorded workshops again and any lectures that might be uploaded. They're very separate things. A lot of them cover the same material, but it's best to go over both of them because everything is technically examinable. Go back through all of the workshops and have your legacy notes in front of you so that you can follow what's going on in your notes, and make sure that you become very familiar you become very familiar with where everything is in your notes. You can then start tabbing your notes and highlighting your notes with things that you think are important. You might have an idea of what sort of topics are going to come up. Some lecturers and tutors do give you an indication of what they think is more examinable than other topics. So you might have a hint, so you might be able to highlight those topics in your folder. This practice will make you very familiar with your notes, which is important because you might not have seen them for a number of months, so you need to become refamiliarized with them. So definitely do that first. The second step is to go back through the course again, but this time you're going to be doing the workshop tasks and the prep tasks again, but this time you're going to be using your notes. This has two benefits really. Firstly, it helps you again become very familiar with your notes. Secondly, it helps you to practice answering exam style questions because, as I said earlier, the tasks are the best indication of what will come up in the exam. So now that you've finished step 1 and step 2 of revision, you should be in a really good place for the exams. But there's one thing left that you need to do, and that's the past papers, or at ULaw they call them specimen exams, and they're kind of similar to what you're going to get in the exam, but actually I would say the workshop tasks are slightly more indicative. But it's definitely important to do the specimen exam well before the real exam. I would try and do it at least a week before so that you know you've got enough time to address any weaknesses in your exam technique or gaps in your knowledge. You can also sometimes find past papers. I managed to get some from eBay. They were thrown in with my legacy notes, but don't worry too much about past papers. They're not that easy to come by. If you get lucky, ask around by all means, you might get lucky, but yeah, just focus on doing the workshop tasks and you should be absolutely fine. Of course, if you've got any spare time left over, what I would do is go back through step 1 and step 2 again, but this time I'd speed it up. So I might watch all of the workshops again, but on 2 times speed, so that I could watch them again and again, but in half the time. And then again, I'd have my notes in front of me just so I could become really familiar with where everything is. And obviously if there's any weaknesses that you've noticed, gaps in your knowledge, then obviously spend more time addressing those. But in a nutshell, that is exactly what I did, no more and no less. And that's exactly how I got a distinction in the first year of my LPC. And I'm going to be using those exact methods in year 2 and hopefully graduating with a distinction overall.